I used to be in the ranks of the Mexican army, and today I would like to tell the truth about how the female role comes to be almost always inside. And I think it also applies in a certain way to the Navy, the National Guard, the police, whether municipal or state, and of course to the Mexican army itself. Basically, I want to talk about how, unfortunately, harassment against women happens in the armed forces and security forces in Mexico. Nowadays, I see a lot of young women or girls wanting to enlist in some government security agency, whichever it may be. Of the ones I mentioned, it's pretty much the same for almost all of them. It applies, just in different ways. But for now, I'll just talk about my own misfortune and the reality that I personally had to face. When I finished and managed to get discharged and join my battalion, it wasn't something so pleasant, and without knowing it, that's where my little nightmare was going to begin. I always thought that being inside would be easy. It just wouldn't be a big deal. I believed the problems from civilian society would stop, but the truth is, they never would. Here, it's the same, except it's usually the superiors who do the harassing, starting with the troublemaking corporal. What was it? A real son of a bahag, all the way up to the prestigious and honorable sergeant, lieutenants, and captains. Almost always, it's them who tend to be the ones harassing the female personnel. And honestly, at this point, when you find out, you almost always have one of two options. Either you play along and just go with the flow, letting the guy behind you pay and give you the benefits. Within the Army nowadays, believe me, it's more common than it seems. For me to become a second sergeant, it took me about 4 years, and that's only because I got lucky. The whole thing about gender equality, about women's rights institutes, if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have made it. It turns out that when I was finally enjoying my new rank, one day I saw that a colleague who had only been in the Mexican army for 1.5 years already had the same rank as me. And after looking into it, I finally found out. That person I had only known for 1.5 years achieved what took me almost 5 years to accomplish. Like reaching the rank of second sergeant, she managed to do it just by being the one who brought the milk for the pancakes. Honestly, I won't explain this whole thing about her being the one who brought the milk for the pancakes because it's way too obvious who the pancakes were, the ones she was bringing the milk to. Although that story is more of a background thing now because it has nothing to do with my own situation. Going back, when I arrived at the cashier, I was gentle, naive, in sync with nothing to give or nothing I shouldn't. According to them, it was either keeping the kitchen spotless or having the bunks warm and tidy. When I first arrived at the gates of the cashier, with some other companions here, it was the phrase that would start my nightmare. At the door there was a corporal, fat, half drunk, and you could see his body fat. He was so fat that he didn't even need to wear a vest or gear because he had gotten so pig-like that bullets would probably bounce off his belly. That's when he said the phrase that would start my nightmare and above all, make me keep an eye on him.
Hey, and that damn bitch you brought with you, what's up with her? Women and little girls are for the bed and the kitchen, not for coming to fight and being part of the war. Just send her back home or let her come with me. I'll make her a real woman.
I simply did nothing, but my blood started to boil. But what the hell, what were they supposed to do? I didn't have a ticket back to my town and my home anymore. There was simply no way back. I stayed with the other 12 guys who came with me, and as soon as we arrived, they started their crap. Not against Cassier's friends who were going to be with me, it was all against me. There was this scrawny guy, like a cornstalk the wind could knock down. He was the second to start his crap.
You jealous bastards, keeping a huge stake to yourselves and not sharing, that's messed up.
Then, in a small hut, there were some sergeants. One of them specifically sent for me. I didn't want to go, but it was either that or just on my first day already get beaten up and take a beating. I went, and when I got there, I stood up. I just tried to stay as calm as I could.
Sergeant, I'm here now. What do you need?
There were 3 sergeants, one they called Batman because of his skin color and because he was kind of buff. He was the only one who kind of tried to defend me. Then there was another one they called Minion because he was short and from Chiapas. And finally the Porcupine because his damn beard and hair looked like porcupine quills, besides being fat and disgusting. And even though I was maybe a meter away from him, I could still smell the stench of sweat and grease from that huge ball of fat and lard. That's how they introduced themselves one by one until we got to the porcupine. Although this last one, the third, just wouldn't take his eyes off me. Back then I was thin, with a small chest, long legs, and somewhat thick and chubby thighs. My butt wasn't anything special, but it was attractive enough for this sergeant, that son of a gun. Batman. He asked me to leave since he already knew that Porky Spin was starting to look at me too much, although both Minion and Porky Spin refused. But what could 2-second sergeants do to a first sergeant like Batman? Besides, you could tell he could handle both of them by himself. Things just calmed down, and I was able to leave even though it wasn't really over. As soon as I got to the bunks, all hell broke loose because a lieutenant came in to inspect. And the first thing that happened after we lined up, and what he did was come straight to me. He started checking me from head to toe, then started patting my head, arms, and legs, and began to speak.
Damn it, you sons of bitches, you've got a girl with you. Take advantage of that and take care of her, because if you don't, then who's going to wash your dishes, your clothes, and make your beds?
And he said that phrase while laughing, and just like he came, he left. After finishing my first day, the nightmare of the night would come, the bathroom. As we know, in the bathrooms, there is no privacy at all. Shame and intimate secrets are things that stop existing in the Mexican Army. And since my section and detachment weren't ready or even adapted for someone like me at that time, they only gave me 2 options. Either I stripped and showered with the rest, or they gave me my own shower. Both things were pretty much the same thing. If I showered with the rest, it meant letting them see all of me. And if I chose the second option, it meant being left out. In a corner, just a hose, some soap, and you had to manage however you could and shower without being seen. I chose the first option. Anyway, where they would make me shower was just the corner of the shower area. Both were the same mess, whether I wanted to or not, but surprisingly, no one harassed me. No one looked at me. I was simply able to take my shower in peace, along with the other 40-something of us. That's where my first encounter would come from. When I got to my bunk, and since I had the top one, the only thing I found was literally just the bare frame, because the mattress had been taken by V. It turns out that while I was showering with the others, it simply disappeared. That's when a corporal came into our barracks. He came straight to see me, just stared at where my bed was supposed to be. And honestly, I'm grateful that he helped me out, even to this day.
Hey, the pig took your mattress, Spin. He wants you to get it back, and who knows how. But apparently
He will be, along with Minion, your instructors. Unfortunately, those guys are known for harassing female staff. I'm sorry because you ended up in their mess.
If they ever try to do something to you, tell Batman. He'll help you out.
Later on, looking around the area where I was assigned, there was my mattress. The pig, son of a bee, had taken it to hide in a half-hidden area, near where the barracks were, along with my section. My next days were pure torment, insinuations, humiliations, setups, just because I didn't want to cooperate.
You already know what kind of cooperation they wanted and what they didn't.
I had to endure endless guard shifts without getting any relief on purpose, just so I would start to give in and cooperate. More insinuations, inappropriate compliments, harassment. Even once they came into the bathrooms while we were showering, 2 sergeants came in, supposedly to inspect the barracks. But in reality, the only thing they wanted to inspect and check out was me, because the others didn't get touched at all. That's how it went until my 3rd month, and honestly, my sanity was about to snap. My hair, which was straight and neat at first, was now curly, tangled, and completely messed up. My body, which once had nice curves and no bruises or even marks, was now just thin. It looked like one of those dro. I simply lost everything I once was. By this point, my sanity, my mental, emotional, and physical health were hanging by a thread. I reached such a point of harassment, to the point that even if someone was spying on me or just giving my body nice looks, I didn't even care or give it any importance. That's how bad I was mentally and in terms of sanity. It was finally the fourth and last month of Casir, and finally graduation to basic infantryman of the Mexican Army. I had made it to this point. I didn't even know if I wanted to keep doing this or just quit, and only God knows what would have happened to me. I was just sitting in a chair during the Casir graduation celebration, while my classmates were partying and celebrating. I just spent all that time sitting there angry. I just wanted to get out of that dump, out of that place where, basically, along with a few other female staff members, we were all there. Basically, they already knew by heart even the color of our nipples and what underwear we wore. After that, I was separated from the other colleagues I had, and they assigned me to the infantry battalion of the Mexican Army in Chihuahua. That's where it all began. That's where all the adventures I experienced started during the almost 13 years of service I gave to the Mexican Army and the country. I went through a lot of things, from taking special courses to basically learning how to fight on my own and survive more. Harassment, inappropriate comments, harassment both from civilians and also from people in my own house nowadays, to be honest. And I left the Mexican Army. I got to know some female coworkers and even some kids who want to become infantry, whether in the Navy or the Mexican Army. Honestly, I just try to motivate them as much as I can, and more than anything, tell them what it's really like to be in there. Even so, they still want to go for it. So there's really nothing left for me to do but support them. Honestly, it's cool to talk about this because I have a lot of friends from work who want to join the Mexican Army or the National Guard, according to them,
because they pay well and involve riding in trucks and training with guns.
They don't have the slightest damn idea what it's really like to be in that thing, and not even what they're going to have to face, both dealing with the criminals outside and having to put up with the harassment, even from some of the officers or personnel from their own side, like the National Guard or the Mexican Army. And more than anything, I'm encouraged to tell this because my daughter said she wanted to be what I was. Literally, I'm always getting into trouble and I have to be disciplining kids and dealing with the mothers or fathers of those guys because they were staring at her too much from behind. Honestly, I'd like to know what she would do in my place because literally, unlike her, for me, some even went as far as touching and groping me inappropriately. Some even squeezed my chest, and two bastards even touched me underneath. That's why today I have the courage to speak up, to warn and tell several young women who want to join a military or police institution that they will very likely face this kind of problem. I experienced it myself, unfortunately, for almost a year, day after day. And the worst part of all is that if you defend yourself, as I already mentioned, one of two things happens. Either they will try to force you to cooperate and become the group's whore, or you become the whore voluntarily. Right? About what it's like to live inside the Mexican Army as a female. I put up with all of that for almost a year. And believe me, to all the young women who want to join without knowing about this, I even got to the point where I wanted to leave this world.
You know what I mean?
Before putting up with all that any longer, I somehow managed to endure it. But unfortunately, I did have some classmates who were pushed to such an extreme level of harassment that even, or worse, because their harassers got to them, or in the best cases, they simply dropped out and were able to find peace again. That's my story and my experience as a woman in the glorious Mexican Army. If you also have a story you want to share, send it to me on Cornell, by email, or on any of my social media accounts. I'll read it as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching the video. Seriously, it really helps a lot if you like, comment, or share. And if you enjoy this kind of content, you can subscribe. I really appreciate it. See you next time.